Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Real Talk. I am excited to have a returning guest author here with me this evening. We are going to be talking about some things about long COVID. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of tired of the name myself. I've had COVID, families had COVID. I mean, it has definitely made its mark and imprint in my family. So I don't know about you guys, but we're going to be talking about what is long COVID all about. But before we get started with that, I want to give my guest, Angela, the opportunity to introduce herself. Good evening, Angela. So good to see you again.
Hi. Hi, it's nice to see you again, too. Um, my name is Angela Brown, and I'm an author, a chronic illness sufferer, warrior, however you want to describe me. That's me.
Awesome. Well, I love, I was really impressed the first time we met because
Hmm.
you told me your story about the reason behind your chronic illness. And I just think it's amazing how you're able to do all that you've done. A lot of us look at some of our lemons in our life and we just get stuck. We can't move past them. It just keeps us in that same place. We can be victims. I know I was in that cycle for 13 years with my story of depression, but
Hmm.
you're an author and you're still moving forward. So, what do you think is really the source of strength to help you to rise above a lot of these challenges that you've been faced with?
And source of strength is my family.
Mhm.
Is it good when you have family members who are there for you when you're down, and then they celebrate with you when you're up? And I can tell you that my daughter is my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. She's always there when I need her, as well as my sister, my best friend, and so many other people who are always there for me when I need them. And for them, I want to be strong. I just don't want to be a survivor. I want to thrive and be a warrior uh, for them every day.
I love that. I love that. And, I love that it's family, because sometimes, that's not the story for everybody. We
Mm-hmm.
go through a lot of challenges and we sometimes don't really even have gratitude for our
Right,
family. So
right.
I love that you're able to have that type of situation and
Mm-hmm.
support from your family. So, we're here, we've got COVID, pandemic, and, you mentioned chronic illness. So, talk to us a little bit about what your experience was with COVID.
Um, well, I have, like I said, a lot of chronic illnesses. I have three. I had three holes in my heart when I was born, as well
Hmm.
as I have, diabetes, asthma, heart condition, um, lung disease, kidney disease, you name it. I probably have it or have had it.
Hmm.
And so my doctors always told me that I when COVID came out, that if I got COVID, that I could uh, probably die because of all the medical challenges that I had. So the best thing for me to do is avoid getting COVID, which I tried to do as much as possible. I locked myself in my house. I never went anywhere. Food was delivered. My daughter delivered. I only had like three people who visited me on a regular basis. And it just so happens that I had a doctor's appointment to go and have my yearly heart heart chest test.
Hmm.
And my daughter drove me, not knowing that she had come in contact with someone who has COVID. And
Hmm.
so just by going to the doctor, I contracted COVID um, from her because I had spent a couple of days at her house, and then she drove me from
Hmm.
her house to my doctor's appointment. And yeah, that was how I got COVID. No matter how I tried so hard not to get it, and it still came knocking at my door anyway.
And I think just that whole thought process about, You can't get it. This is not going to be something that's going to be good for you. It could even be terminal. How did you manage to navigate through that? Because I think, it's like, when someone hears that they might have cancer or some of these other
Right.
ailments, it's like an instant death sentence before
Yeah.
anything else happens. So, how did you?
That's how I felt it was. I felt like it was a death sentence. I immediately called my doctor, and
Mhm,
he said, don't don't go outside. He said, very careful if you feel you're having chest pain or any major discomfort in your chest or anywhere else, then you should go to the hospital. So that was like the first few days. I thought, oh, this is okay. This is just like having a really bad flu. So I
mm,
didn't think anything of it. But then I started, to not feel well, and it was getting to be more than flu. I mean, when I coughed, my chest hurt so bad. I went like this, even though it didn't help. It's just like a reaction to just try to hold my chest because it hurt so bad. And
mm,
as the days continued to go, day one, day two, day three, day four, I started to deteriorate as the days
mm,
went by. And I think it was on the fifth day that my daughter and her boyfriend noticed, I guess I was having not good behavior, like I was delirious and things like that. And they thought, okay, maybe it's time that we, call an ambulance and get her to the hospital just to get checked. And of course, I got admitted. And that's it. To this day, I don't even remember going to the hospital. Like for me, I could tell you up to that day, the morning I had breakfast, and then I went to bed later in the evening. I wasn't feeling good. I went to bed, and that's it. All I remember is waking up in the hospital a week later.
wow. So you were not even conscious for a week?
No, I was at first when I apparently when I got to the hospital, I was like delirious, and then from that hospital, I think I spent 2 days in the first hospital, and they transferred me to another hospital in Kingston, which is another part of Ontario. And don't remember that either. I was on a ventilator at the time. I don't even remember that. And then yeah, woke up a week later, and the nurse told me that I was in Kingston. I was in the hospital because I had COVID.
Wow. Now, so did you have like any premonition or anything, I mean, to be out, not have a memory, but of course you had a fighting spirit during
Yeah,
that time
yeah.
because, so did you have any kind of premonition or anything? Or
I
what
felt
is
my
your first memory when you woke up?
so I woke up to somebody calling my name.
Mm-hmm.
And then I opened my eyes and I looked and I saw the nurse and she's wearing a mask that looked like a gas mask. And I was just looking at her really like, where is this strange woman in front of me?
Mm,
And I guess she saw the look on my face because I couldn't talk. And she started to say, you're in Kingston, you had COVID, you've been here for a week. And that kind of shocked me. I'm like, what? She's been here for a week, you've been in an induced coma and on a ventilator, and the order we're monitoring, we're taking good care of you. Then she told me that my daughter was also in Kingston, and my daughter was staying in a hotel like 10 minutes away from the hospital or something like that.
mm-hmm.
And so when I first woke up, I thought it was a dream, to be quite honest.
Oh,
So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep and, wake up in it. But then I woke up again and it was same nurse. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm not in a dream. But I just like, after that, I started having dreams, dreams that how am I going to survive this? I'm going to die. Dreams that I felt like I was kidnapped and they were lying to me about certain things. And after the next day, she said, "Oh, guess what? You're going to have a visit, iPad visit from your daughter today." And I was like, "Really?" And then that didn't happen. And I was so disappointed. And I'm like, okay. They're definitely not telling me something. They're hiding things. All the
Mhm.
things that just go,
Yeah.
things going in my mind. And then in the afternoon, the iPad visit did happen. And there was my daughter and my sister and, my best friend and so other family members on the call. And then I
Mhm.
thought, okay, they didn't kidnap me, I guess, but because they kept telling me, "Don't worry, your family knows you're here. Your daughter knows what's happening to you. She calls us every 2 hours. We tell her you're okay. She calls back 2 hours later for an update."
Yeah, I get that, and it's so funny because I had that same experience. I was hospitalized for depression, and so you go through this whole thing about, am I dreaming? Like they're telling me you get to go home today, and I'm like, is this for real? So I can understand that totally.
Mhm.
And then when you're coming from a period of not really being conscious about, the treatment in terms of, they're doing what they can to keep you safe and well. But,
Right.
the impact of some of those drugs that, you're out of it, you don't even know what's going on. So I totally get that. Now, so we're talking about long COVID. What actually is that? And, what are some things that really stand out to you that you believe can be beneficial for people to know about?
So it's been, I had COVID in May of 2021, and we're in
Mhm.
December. So it's been about 18 months since I've
Mhm.
had COVID. But I've still had a cough. Like I've never actually gotten rid of my COVID cough,
Mhm.
which it's not obviously as bad as when I had COVID, but I still have a cough. I
Mhm.
have, because I was on the ventilator, of course, has effects to your voice. So that my voice has changed. I think now it's like more raspy, and
Mhm.
sometimes I have no voice at all, as well as I have a lot of ringing in my ear, like
Mm.
tinnitus in my ear. I have twitching in my hands, and
Mhm.
the biggest one for me is the fatigue. I am
Oh,
like so tired. I slept 9 hours last night, and I woke up this morning and I was still tired. And then I
wow.
went back to sleep and I took another 2 hour nap, and I was still tired. Like you're just
Mm.
never, I can never say to you, oh, I feel so refreshed and everything. Like my daughter's like, go have a shower, mom. That's gonna make you feel better. It makes you feel better to be clean, but it still makes me even more tired than before. So if you
Mhm.
ask people, that's the one biggest thing people say that they're having with COVID, with long COVID. I also
Mhm.
still have problems like walking is difficult.
Mhm.
I woke up from the ventilator. I had to use a cane. I had to use a walker for a few
Wow.
months, and then
Mhm.
from the walker I used the cane. And sometimes I still have to use the cane because I just don't have the energy. My legs hurt. They feel like lead, and I can't walk.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot. They said that there's like about 100 different symptoms that people are describing that they have with long COVID. Another
Mm.
one, bigger one for me is uh, brain fog. Um,
Mm.
like I told you, I can't remember what happened when I had COVID.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't remember sometimes what happened yesterday or what happened this morning. Sometimes I ask my daughter a question, and then 20 minutes later I ask her the same question. And she's like, "You've already
Mm.
asked me that." And then 3 hours later I ask her the same question again.
Wow.
Concentrating is very difficult. Try to stay focused. I'm trying to do things they said like read, or do crossword puzzles, or I like
Mhm.
doing Sudoku puzzles. Just doing those things that try to train your brain to concentrate on something specific. My daughter would tell you that I cannot sit still. Like people are talking to
Mm.
me, and I'm moving around, I'm touching this and I'm touching that. I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at the computer. I was never like that. Like she was like, Mom, you need to be still. Like you need to still and just listen. It's really,
Wow.
really hard. It's just been a difficult progress since I've had COVID. Even spelling, like I used to not
Wow.
have problems spelling. I asked
Mhm.
Natasha today. I said, "How do you spell persuasive? How do you spell this? How do you like some things?" That she's like, "Mom, look it up." It's just, and it's just
Wow.
new for me because I used to have very good memory. Uh, I mean, I had at least 80% in spelling. I didn't think but now I think I've dropped a few bits. Everything is just totally changed. I thought that when after I got out of the hospital that everything would go back to normal. I'd be
Mhm.
normal for somebody like me with chronic illness, my normal, but it's
Mhm.
even below my normal. So I'm even below what I
Mm.
used to be with chronic illnesses. And then because I have chronic illnesses, it just makes everything that much harder. It
Yeah.
was already hard, as you know yourself. And then
Mhm.
it's harder now, even more, trying to get by, trying to do the day to day stuff. My daughter
Yeah.
has to drag me, and I'm not kidding, drag me, not physically, but by nagging me
Yeah.
to go
Motivate you.
to go
Yeah.
outside because I don't want to go outside. I'm just like, I'm good. Like, Mom,
Yeah.
you've been in the house for a week. You haven't gone outside. You need to go for a walk. You need to go
Mhm.
some fresh air. I have a lot of headaches, which are a lot more headaches than I had before. And I read too, and a lot of headaches is also another big symptom that people complain about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is just amazing that you're able to press someone through a lot of these things, and I think it's important to share these items and
Mhm.
symptoms that you're going through because, so often if someone hasn't experienced the COVID, they don't know what some of the impact could be,
Exactly.
and even like you said, you did everything in your power to keep yourself safe and it still happened. So, you're an author. Did you write before COVID or was this after? Tell us about that journey
Okay.
as being a
Well,
published
I
author.
had written two books before COVID. So I was on the first one's called The Courage Change. And that was
Mhm.
with 11 other women who
Mhm.
wrote about challenges and struggles in their lives. And then my own solo book, which is called The Miracle of God, How 30
Mhm.
Seconds Changed My Life Forever. And so I thought, okay, that was it. I was pretty contented to be a part of two books. I got an award for the second book, so I was contented. And then a friend of mine, she was doing the bit project all over again, the one I did the first project with. So I thought, oh, let me try and see what I can write. And it was the book is called Finding the Light Within.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so I wrote my chapter about, um, you know, most about my experience with COVID and, um, you know, what happened because a lot of people out there need to know what
Mhm.
happens when someone has COVID. I think
Mhm.
that all the protesting and of wearing masks, of
Mhm.
wearing, other precautions and things like that, if they really knew what they were going to go through if they had COVID, I don't think those people be out there protesting against wearing masks. Like, I mean, I understand
Mhm.
wearing masks for kids is hard, but
Mhm.
it's going to save their life. For me,
Mhm.
it's really hard wearing masks. I went to the hospital the other day to see my brother-in-law, and I put the mask on, and immediately started hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a lung disease and I have asthma, so it was very
Mhm.
hard to wear the mask, but I
Mhm.
suffered through it. You know, hyperventilated, try to get a bit of air out of it, and go back and wear it again because I know what it's like to have COVID. And God forbid,
Mm.
I don't want to have it again. So if you
Yeah.
want to know what it's like to have COVID, being in the hospital for 3.5 weeks, and you can't even see one family member. You don't
Mm.
like you can't see them in person to touch them to hold their hand. The only
Yeah.
way they will allow your family member to come is if you're on your deathbed. That's it.
Wow.
So I mean, I ask them every day, my daughter come, like with motions, and they're like, no, and it was hard.
Yeah. I mean that is quite a testimony and I'm just so grateful that you made it through. I mean, it's just really an amazing and inspiring story. And to be able to share that, what would you say to somebody? I mean, you have chronic illness, you've had COVID, you're suffering from the effects of it, 18 months later. What advice would you give people? It's the end of the year, people are doing their New Year's
Mhm.
resolutions. What would you say to them about, their goals moving forward?
I
What
would say always uh, try to reach for your goals. I'm
Mhm,
not talking about like a New Year's resolution because we all make those and they're just gone by February. I'm talking
mhm,
about sit down and think about what you want your life to be,
mhm,
what you want to be remembered for when your life is over, and go for that. Reach for that
mhm,
goal so that you don't regret your life. And I even say for people with chronic illness too. I do support people with chronic illness as well. Don't give up. It's
mhm,
hard. It's hard getting up every day being in pain. You know,
mhm,
I'm in pain 24/7 at some part of my body. Sometimes
mhm,
it's, low pain and sometimes it's excruciating pain. But
mhm,
no matter what it is, I keep going. And that's one thing in my chapter, you'll see that I kept going and I kept fighting.
mhm,
Even when I couldn't walk, I was getting out of bed. I'd fall on the floor and they'd tell me, "Get in bed, don't get out." And then I would get up again and get up and fall out
mhm,
on the floor. But it was just being wanting to do it myself, wanting to
mhm,
be who I used to be. And I just want to live my life. As I told you, I want to thrive, not just survive. So
mhm,
um, I can tell you one thing: when I'm gone, my family will be able to say, "Well, she lived a good life. She
mhm,
fought the fight," and
mhm.
you know that's all that matters to me is
I
to make
love
them.
that. I love that. Now, so what is it that you do in your daily routine that allows you to have this focus, because I think, sometimes we can have a shot of pain and
Mhm,
we're like, "Ah, just forget it." You know what I
mhm,
mean? It's like
mhm,
you go to the window, it's raining. Oh, it's raining. I'm not going to do whatever I was going to do.
mhm.
So, when you have these moments where you're thinking positive, but then the pain really sets in, what is it that you do? Is it an affirmation? I mean, what is it in your routine that allows you to press on?
A lot of I pray because
Mhm.
God is the reason I'm still here. I listen to a lot of gospel music. I did that today,
Mhm,
and I also read, um, and like I said, when like I'll be getting out of bed and my ankle will really hurt. Oh, I can't step
mhm,
down it, and I have to use the cane. I don't
mhm,
like the idea that I have to use a cane, but this is a walking aid. It's going to help me move out of my bed rather than sitting in my bed all day. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use, and I have any gadgets that they have out there, to help you to do better. If I want to read something, I don't know. I always call my daughter, have a gadget to help me to read it. Of course, I do rely on her a lot
mhm,
because we live together. Um, but just keep going. I always tell myself, just keep going. I want to make her proud. I want her to have a
mhm,
mom who she can be proud of and not say, "Oh, I had a mom who just laid in bed all day and did nothing." Um,
mhm.
and a lot of things I do, everything I do it for her.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And I love how you have this can do attitude. I think it's amazing. And, we have people who don't struggle with half the things that you have been facing in
Hmm.
your journey. And you've written books, you've collaborated with people to keep that spirit on. So I am just in awe and so inspired. So, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at
Mhm,
theangelabrown.com, and also Dream at Dream Life by Angela B. Brown. This is the most recent one because it's Dream Life Angela B. Brown is the online store that I have for people with chronic
Mm.
illness and their family. So it's to help inspire and uplift and empower people with chronic illnesses, especially women. I think when you have on something new and something really nice, it makes you feel so much better. It's not that you can buy every day, but buying yourself something nice once in a while will also be an uplift for you in those days when you're really down. So I run that online store, and it's called Dream Life by Angela B. Brown. And
I
so all
love it.
my social media um, is at the Angela B. Brown.
Uh,
So check out my website. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and also uh, other ways to reach out to me, which I'm sure you're going to provide.
Awesome. And then what final thoughts would you like to share with everybody? Whether it is, a prescription for daily living
Mm-hmm,
or just what's on your heart, as we
mm-hmm.
are thinking, it's the holidays, we're getting close to the end of the year. What would be your final thoughts to share?
My thought would be to reach out to people who you know that have chronic illness. Yes, you're busy over the holidays. You're busy moving from one place to another. They may not be moving around as much as you are, and they could really use a phone call. Bring them a meal.
Mhm.
Sometimes they need a ride to a doctor's appointment, um,
Mhm.
anything, or just call to say I was thinking about you. That
Mhm.
alone is enough. And also call your family and friends and let them know how much you love them.
That is wonderful and so true. I totally agree with that. Because this is really a time where a lot of people suffer in silence during the holidays. You might be in a great holiday mood, and we just assume everybody's feeling that way. So I love that you mentioned that. And I also want to say thank you to our guest audience members. We have King G, is what I call him, Gabe, who is on LinkedIn. We have Janet and Chanel. And Janet says that your story is so inspiring. So we thank you guys so much for watching. And please spread the message about long COVID and checking in on people who have suffered from COVID, because you never know what's the impact has been on different people that have been affected with this illness. And show support for Angela. Reach out to her. Get a copy of that book. What's the name of the book again, Angela?
Finding the life, finding the life within.
Finding the Light Within. And you can get on her website and get a
But it's also
copy,
on Amazon. It's on
and
Amazon.
it's on Amazon. So we thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. Again, spread this message. And I'm just inspired. We can talk about things that we are suffering through, but the silver lining is that having these conversations makes us more aware, and it helps us to be better servants because we can be mindful of serving people who are suffering through some of these things. So again, we thank you so much, Angela, for joining us today. And we wish you happy holidays and a very blessed and prosperous new year.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for watching. Take
All
care.
right. And we thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.